Well, old and crackadated here, and I'm going to do a little something different today. Something I hadn't done before on this channel. And show off a few of my firearms. Now this, of course, they're all unloaded. This is a Wyndham Arms AR-15. I bought it used, but it's practically not been used at all. Hadn't been fired much at all. It's in excellent condition. Got a true glow sight on it. And of course it's got the flip up sights too. Which I prefer what's known as iron sights, even though they make them out of plastic nowadays. A lot of them. But it's really smooth operating. And very little wear in the bolt slide, so I know it hadn't been fired a whole lot, just enough to give it a good breaking in. But that's a good one. And I don't use 30 round magazines. This is just what came with it. I keep in it, keep the dust and dirt out of it. But one thing in Vietnam, the reason so many NVA had headshots, 30 round magazines. Now, that's how low you would be with a 20 round magazine. Your head would be that much more below. Now you put a 30 round magazine in, look at the difference. Your head's going to be sticking up even more. We found so many with headshots, and it was because of those 30 round magazines and them with their head way up above covered. That's the reason I do not use 30 round magazines. I've got a few, but they just happen to come with weapons I bought. And this is really something special. I just bought this. It came in a couple of weeks ago. A 30 Super Carry high point carbine. Of course, I hadn't even put a round in the magazines for this one. Hadn't had a chance to fire it. I had to make a few adjustments on the front sight. But the unique thing about this, and I'll show it to you in the camera. Look at the serial number. 09. That was the 9th one of these made, and apparently it just got shoved back on their shelf at the gun store because they've been out for over 2 years. They developed it 3 years ago. But I got serial number 09, and the guy at the gun store, when it came in, UPS had broken the front sight. Of course, I didn't bother high point about it. I had to order some other stuff, so I just ordered new front sight for it, and it came in 3 days later, and just 2 screws hold it on. But I'll keep the old broken sight as an original piece of it, since this was the 9th one made. Then I got a few other things. Now these magazines are loaded, but they haven't been put in. Now that's the magazine for this one. I had previously cleared it, and all I do is just stick the magazine in. I don't carry around in the chamber, and I think that only a fool does when he's going around every day, all day long, because there have been so many people shot because they carry around in the chamber and they mishandle the weapon. But I have a technique that the military teaches. A lot of special operations people use the same technique, and they call it quick kill technique, but it's what the Marines call it something different. But anyway, it aligns you on your target so you don't miss in an unaimed situation. Because when you chamber that round, you're putting on target. When you let go, bang, you're on target and you're not going to miss. Been my technique ever since I had a gun. But on target. When somebody comes out with a pistol and because you can keep with that technique, when you come out, your finger's already in the trigger slot and you're pushing forward with your hand. You're not pulling back with this hand, you're pushing forward and you're dead on target, because what your hand is pointing at, with this part of your hand, which your finger will be pointing straight ahead, but as you do that, you're straight on target. You will not miss, because you see, boom. Now, you come out of a holster, they're coming out with that finger here, then they've got to slide that finger down and put it in there. But if you don't carry around in the chamber, you're already in, you're just not pulling. And that end of that finger will stay limp until you go forward. As you go forward, your finger is touching the trigger. Bang. I practiced that technique all my life. It's worked. And it don't matter what situation it is. Now, I've been in some pretty dangerous situations. And my technique has never failed me. But there's no need in carrying one in the chamber just to be macho. Macho people tend to get dead in firefights. I've been in some. I was still fighting after I got blown up with those RPGs. Lost half my right thigh, it was scattered all over the ground. Had shrapnel from my ankle to my neck. My head spinning. But I still was functional. It never knocked me out. The only time I lost consciousness when they took me in the operating room and the doctor was debriding the wound and I was propped on my elbows watching him. He turned around and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm watching what you're doing." He looked at the anesthesiologist and said, "Knock him out." So he popped a shot in my IV and put my lights out. And this is the equalizer. It's in 9mm. Now this is in super carry. 30 super carry. The shield. And it's an easy model. It's so easy to pull back, but the equalizer is the same way. It's real easy to rack. But it comes with a 10, 13, and 15 round magazines. I keep the magazines loaded, and when I put them in the weapon, I don't chamber, never chamber, until I'm ready to shoot something. That's 9mm. I'll show the difference in the two. The one on this side is 9mm, and that is 30 super carry. It's actually a faster bullet than the 9mm. I'll put these over here. And the super carry magazines are stainless steel. Okay. Well, let me check, make sure my camera's running. I don't want to miss any of this and have to do it over. Okay, seems to be operating good. And my speech has gotten a little better, but if you notice, it'll get a little worse as I talk. Nothing I can do about it. Love my Rock Island stuff. (1911) 38 super carry. And the same way you draw your own target. I'll show you the difference in 38 super carry, which is it's definitely a super 38. It's a 38 P plus. You see, it's slightly larger than the 9mm. A little bit more powder. Pretty hot load. And it's a plus P. Oh. But I hadn't fired that yet, so it won't be long I'll find out. And I like Arms Core ammo too. But that's my 1911 30 Super Carry. I got to tear it down a couple of more times to get the takedown pin easier to come out. It's a struggle the first time you take them down, and I want it where I can take it apart and clear any problems anytime I have a problem. Because I was in a firefight in Vietnam, had everything that could go wrong go wrong. And they send you one of, with this pistol, they send you one of the Mag Lula speed loaders. Without those, it's hard to get the maximum number. Of course, I never carry maximum in there. In the 13 round mag, I think I've got 10 rounds. I think I put 9 in this one. The reason this round is loose because I wanted to be able to show it. And of course I may have 9 rounds in the, no, I've got 10 rounds in the 10 magazine. But this is 9mm. But that's my new part of my gun collection. Hadn't been to the range with any of them yet. I got a good place to shoot. Got my own place. And I can't remember how high the mountain is there, but I've got a pretty good hill. Of course, there's a deeded right-of-way goes across the back corner for the neighbor. But if I'm over there shooting, all I got to do is holler at him if he's anywhere around and get him over there to do some shooting. He would never turn down an opportunity. But old and crackadated, and let me zoom in on me instead of weapons. Wow, that's a big wasp. Right by my ear. Oh. The reason I hadn't done any videos lately, I was going to do a video uh, last week, but when Charlie Kirk got murdered, I've been really broke up over that. Such a fine fella and good family man. And that's what this world is going to miss, him raising his kids in the right way. Jesus said, raise up a child in the way they should go, and they will not depart from it. The reason kids depart from it is because you're not raising them up in the way they should go. You're letting them get by with things you shouldn't. Wrong kind of friends, not paying attention to what you're doing every day. Myself and my brothers, we've never been in trouble with the law. We have fought lawless people like drug dealers, but we didn't go around getting into trouble. I had a ticket for running the stop sign one time, and that was really crazy. I went ahead and paid the ticket because I wasn't going to embarrass the police officer in that little town. But I had gone to deliver some t-shirts to a bar. Well, I had to wait for the guy to write the check because they were so busy and it was getting close to closing time. Well, I got the check, get in the car, and I had a couple riding with me that they were traveling around the country, and I'd let them ride up with me to deliver those shirts. Anyway, we were leaving the place, and it was just about closing time, so there's a lot of people pulling out of the parking lot. Well, I pulled out and onto the highway, and then turned off on this little road that went on the back road, a shortcut to where I live. And when I turned off, it was just a little short, about 4 car lengths long, and a stop sign. Well, the cop car was sitting right in the middle of the road. So I turned and went around the back side and around the stop sign and got back on the road, went over and stopped at the other stop sign. Well, he turned around and came after me, and I started down the road, and I stopped, and he said, "Have you been drinking?" No. He thought he was going to nail somebody for leaving the place drinking. And he said, "Well, you ran that stop sign." I said, "There was no way I could avoid it. You were sitting in the middle of the road." I went around the back side of the stop sign, actually off the road. But he wrote me a ticket, and I just went up there and paid it like $10. Because I was up there all the time anyway. Had a friend that lived up there that worked with my brother. They both did silk screen printing, and I did too. But that's my run-in with the law. But I'm still really, it hurt me deep about Charlie Kirk. because the communist influence in this country and all that Antifa stuff, they're going to find out it all came from foreign countries. Antifa started in Germany. I think that's their country of origin. So with them being with foreign ties, they're wide open for the terrorist designation. It's all legal to designate them terrorist organizations. But if we don't get the communist school teachers and professors out of our colleges, we're never going to recover from this. I studied a program called Know Your Enemy. And it was, you had to read the Communist Manifesto because you had to know your enemy. Well, I know my enemy and have for a long, long time before I ever went in the Army. Although I did have to lie to them and tell them, no, I did not read the Communist Manifesto, because if I had, I would have been in for 3 days of intense questioning, and there was no need in it. That was a waste of their time and mine too. But I understood my enemies. I understand them now. They're behind all the violence that takes place at rallies because that's what they do. Study the Communist Manifesto and find out, folks. You don't know what you're fighting until you know who your enemy is. Study what Lenin and Stalin did to Russia, and what a fool Karl Marx really was. He was a drunk. He couldn't even take care of his own family. That's the reason that university professor Engels took him in to support him, because he was too drunk to work. But oh, what a fantastic economic philosophy a drunk has. Go find you somebody laying in the gutter if you want to really find out about that. Well, old and crackadated, they're just about fed up with that stuff. If you want to save the country, open your Bible, a King James Version, or New King James, or the New American King James Version. That's the only 3 translations I will go with. The American version has the Old English taken out of it and it put into what the U.S. language is. But they all went back to the original Greek and Hebrew scriptures to interpret. All these other translations, one was even done on a commuter train back and forth to work. That was that New Bible. They've got so much falsehood in them, false teachings. And I know that so many people do not teach baptism. Jesus said, he that believeth and is baptized shall be saved. He didn't have to say it more than that one time. He gave the example with John the Baptist baptizing him, our Savior himself. How do you think you're going to get around what he commanded you to do? I'll repeat that again. You don't know how many of those who they were really just confessing their sins, but had already been baptized. You got no idea. It doesn't say. Don't add to what it doesn't say. Speak where the Bible speaks. Be silent where the Bible is silent. In other words, don't change the rules yourself. Follow what's in the Scripture. That's the only way you're going to get to heaven. Too many people run around preaching, just believe and you'll be saved. Not so. The baptism is the key that unlocks the door. And the key to the kingdom, when Jesus was talking to Peter, because he had asked him who he was. Well, you're the Son of God. That's the key that unlocks the door. You want to turn the doorknob and open the door? Be baptized. Be buried. In baptism, arise anew. And you've got to lead a new life when you come up out of that water, or it's all for naught. Well, old and crackadated. And we've got to stop the evil that's taken over our country. Everybody waited way too long. Well, old and crackadated here, and if it can, it will, and I don't know if it already has or not. I hadn't checked on too many things today. My dogs ate up. I got a little cooker, like a 1.6 cook pot. The dogs drug it out. It was in the box. I hadn't found but little giblets in the box, and I think they broke the lid. I found pieces of some kind of lid. I didn't even know what it was. And the cord, I found the part that plugs onto the pot about that long. The rest of the cord was gone. I ain't found the other part of it. So I ordered 2 new pots. One's a 12 volt, the other was 120, but it can operate on 150 watts, so I can plug it in to my battery booster thing and cook something in it. Of course, it's got the high setting too, but the 150 will cook something. I remember a little cooker oven that used to really bake biscuits, used a 100-watt light bulb.